If you're still an uncommitted junior or senior sitting at 90 EV, you're gonna wanna watch this video. Today, I'm gonna break down exactly what I would do if I wanted to hit 100 plus EV and started all over from scratch. I'm also gonna break down the exact mistakes that you're making along this process. I'm a collegiate strength conditioning coach, and I've helped over 50 athletes gain 5 to 10 miles an hour on their exit velocity. So let's jump in on the first thing I would do if I was starting from scratch. I would immediately get clear on my goals and what I want. You're not gonna be able to accomplish anything if you have a foggy mindset or destination. I'm gonna write down my goals in my notebook and put 100 plus EV right in the middle. This is gonna put my brain in priority mode and essentially give me the blinders that I need to focus on my goal. Without this, all of this stuff here crumbles. Now over on your side, you are still indecisive on if this is a goal you want to or can reach. This is the first domino that is completely ruining your development. If I ever veer off my path, I can always go back to the foundation and my clear goal. This is super simple and it is absolutely step one. Next, I'm gonna prioritize my development. If I don't put an emphasis on my development, I simply will not grow as a player. This is a mindset shift that you also must have. This means making time for your training, making time for your mental training, and not putting a vast majority of things in life as a priority over your development that do not benefit you. What does that mean in a general sense? It means spending more time scrolling than actually training. It means more video games than cage work. You must wake up every morning with the burning desire and goal to want to improve in baseball. Prioritize your training. Next, I'm gonna take a look at my habits and make sure they're absolutely locked in. A consistent player off the field is going to be a consistent player on the field. How are my sleep patterns? How is my diet? Do I train the same time every week? Or do I skip here and there? And am I generally an unreliable person towards my own habits and others? You absolutely must clean this up. I am sleeping 8 hours a day, going to bed and waking up at the same exact time. I follow the same routine every single day. That means I train at the same time, eat at the same time, and I'm very structured with what I do day to day. This ensures I never veer off course and I stay locked in towards my goal. Now you have shitty sleep habits, a shitty diet, and you're generally unreliable towards your training habits. Instead of a gradual progression, yours looks more like this. With inconsistent habits come inconsistent results. Really high highs, but really low lows. And at the end of the day, you end up at the same exact point that you started. Once I establish my priorities and mindset, I'm gonna have extremely coordinated training. Meaning if I have a hitting, strength, and speed coach, I will ensure that they all work together to support my goal. That means consistent communication between me, my coaches, and them to each other, and actually identifying and building around my limiters. This ensures that my weaknesses get targeted directly, and I can go weakness by weakness, meaning over time I can select and attack one, then move on to the next. It's what I call the stair-step method. While you, on the other hand, have scattered coaching. You have 3 different coaches that you see inconsistently, and they definitely do not communicate with each other. This means your limiter never gets assessed, and your coaches do not coordinate a plan specific to that limiter, meaning it will always be an underlying issue. You cannot stair-step with scattered coaches. Again, your progress is gonna be extremely up and down. You have to identify your weakness with your coaches, build around it, and then translate that into the game. Next, I'm building a strength foundation and then my power. You have to have a foundation of strength before you actually harness that into power. So if I'm in the off season and my strength foundation is pretty low, I'm gonna make that a massive priority in the weight room. High sets, low reps, and high weight for all of my compound movements. Bench, squat, clean, and deadlift. Those are really the core ones that are gonna build your strength foundation. Once I can deadlift twice my body weight, reverse lunge my body weight on the bar for a set of 10 on each leg, among a couple other metrics, then I know I'm ready to move on with my power development. You, on the other hand, focus on hypertrophy, which is basically lifting like a bodybuilder. You think muscle equals strength and power, but that's so far from the case. Or maybe even worse than this, you have no plan at all. Doing something in the weight room that you feel is right, but is certainly far from correct. You have to have a strength base. If not, you're gonna put your joints in unstable and unpredictable positions, and you're probably gonna get injured when you go into game or try to translate that strength into power work. And hypertrophy pretty much solves none of that. So stop training like a bodybuilder. Next, when I'm ready to build power, I'm gonna incorporate contrast sets post-activation potentiation, and rotational power work. These are advanced modalities that will increase your power 10-fold, which is what you need to hit 100 EV. Within this, I'm gonna pattern my movements as close to a biomechanical swing as possible. I'm gonna move both heavyweight slowly and lightweight quickly when I do this. For my contrast sets, I will pair two movements with very similar movement patterns, but one is going to be the overload variation and one is the underload variation. That means I'm gonna be using post-activation potentiation within my nervous system. This is the same exact thing that activates when you put a donut on your bat, swing, take off the donut, and your bat feels like a toothpick. So just imagine that process for all different facets of the body. You can apply that from head to toe. Thus, your body will get used to that and it will be much closer to 100 EV and higher rotational power and exit velocity. Finally, for rotational work, I'm gonna incorporate again, both heavy and light med ball work. I'm also gonna do plenty of banded and cable rotational swings, and I will get on a bat speed program that adjusts over time on my fatigue and if I'm in or an off season. On your side, you generally do high rep and low weight activities and stay away from compound movements and definitely all of this stuff right here. This is an absolute killer because you're just gonna fatigue your body and you're not gonna give your body any of the correct stimulus for this adaptation that you need to hit 100 EV. This is pretty much garbage and junk volume. It's gonna do nothing but fatigue your muscle tissue. And sure, you might gain some muscle, but that muscle is not gonna translate onto the field whatsoever. So you've got to get rid of this bodybuilding, high rep, low weight garbage. Finally, I will stay consistent for 3 months on the same exact plan. Now that doesn't mean my plan won't adapt over time, but it does mean I will trust the process. The process of identifying my limiter, building over that, and then transferring it into the game. That is the process I'm talking about. Now over the span of the 3 months, I'm gonna track my progress religiously, because what you don't track, you can't fix. So if I'm not building EV over the 3 months, that means I'm simply gonna adapt my structure. If it is moving in a positive direction, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing and even advance it to a higher degree or difficulty. The most important piece here is probably just to track your exit velocity every 1 or 2 weeks. If you do all this correctly, I guarantee it will move in the right direction. And on your side, you quit. Because that is the easy thing to do, especially if you're not seeing the results that you so desperately want. But I'll tell you right now, you have 2 options. You either adapt or you simply quit. All of that to say is you can adapt to hit this goal. Meaning if you do all of this right now, guys, you can simply make a choice to become this version. And that all starts with a clear mindset and goal. Then prioritizing your development, locking in your habits every single day, hopping on coordinated training, building your strength and then your power, using effective and advanced training modalities, and staying consistent for 3 months on the same plan. It's not as hard as you believe it to be. This is simply the framework you have to follow if you want to hit 100 EV. And this can look and seem very overwhelming. Like, Nate, how do I even program contrast sets? How do I hold myself accountable for 3 months? How do I coordinate my training? How do I even build my strength and power? Fellas, if you need help with this, I can absolutely help you out. I've helped 50+ athletes go from this version of themselves to this version of themselves. It's what I did with Ryan, Julian, Danny, Jace. I can go on and on. If you're an uncommitted junior or senior and you're still stuck at 90 EV and desperately want to make this change, the link is down below in my description to work with me. I'm only taking on a limited amount of guys, so first come, first serve. I'd love to work with you.